Hey guys, welcome back to Crafts Go Bloom. My name is Krista, and today we're going to be making my keychain chicken pattern. I've got one here that I just haven't added the keychain to yet. All of these are the same pattern, made with different yarn scraps that I have lying around. This is a completely no-sew pattern, and it usually takes me, if I'm not like slowing down to do a tutorial like this, I can get this done in under 20 minutes. And I think that these are going to be a great market seller. I have so many customers who love chickens and also a lot of people who like to buy these fun keychains. This is also just my latest chicken pattern. I have 3 others to show you. First up, I have Chip the Chick, and Chip goes with Mama Moran the chicken. Kind of have to turn this one sideways to get it into the camera angle right now. But we've got Mama Moran and Chip the Chick. And then you combine them together and you get what I call the tiny chicken, which in this yarn, it looks a little chunky, that bulky yarn. But this is the tiny version of Big Mama Moran. And so I broke down the tiny chicken into the keychain chicken. So if you're looking for more chicken related patterns, check out my channel. I've got tutorials for all of the other 3, and I'll have all of the PDFs for everything linked down below as well. So let's take a look at our supplies for today. I have this kitchen scale that I bought off of Amazon, nothing fancy, and this is what I'm going to be using to weigh out the scraps of yarn that I have. Now, this pattern uses 0.65 ounces of yarn. So if I weigh that out, I have a little over 1 ounce, so that's definitely going to be enough to make 1 chicken. Let's check out this gray that I've got. That's 0.65. That should be exactly enough to make 1, and you can see how small this is. This yarn is a little bit thinner. This is Joanne Cuddle, so this is a discontinued yarn, but if you have any of that lying around, you know what I'm talking about. It's a little bit thinner than, it's kind of like a Bernat baby blanket. And then this is Joanne Plush, so 1 ounce in that is probably going to be perfect to make 1. And here's another Bernat. So we've got 0.75. This is what I'm going to use just to show today that you definitely can make this with a small scrap like this. So let's turn off the scale. So I have my yarn that I'm going to use for the body color, and then you're also going to need some scraps of yellow and red. And these are just the ends of the skein. All you're going to be making in the yellow is this little beak, so you really only need a pretty small scrap. And then this is all you've got to do for the red. So again, small scraps are going to work perfectly. All the other supplies that we're going to need today are some stuffing. I use polyfill from Joanne here in the US, but any stuffing that you have will work. I have a sharp pair of scissors. I have a tapestry needle. Mine is metal. It just needs to have a large eye, though, that you can use and not be like a really sharp sewing needle. We want a dull needle. It could be plastic and it could also be bent. Some of them are curved at the end. I have a stitch marker, which is just going to mark our place so that we know where we're at, because we're crocheting in continuous rounds in a spiral. And so I'm going to be using that to mark the ends of my rounds. If you don't have a specific stitch marker though, you can use a bobby pin or a paper clip or even just another piece of yarn that's a different color, and you just loop it through and then just keep moving that. And then I'm going to be using my favorite 12mm safety eyes. And the way these work is you push this part in through the fabric of crochet that you've created, and then you put this little washer on the back and slide it down, and it's going to pop over those little ridges. And then you're going to need a crochet hook. And today I've got my size 6 hook because for the scrap that I'm using, I think that's the appropriate hook to not have any like holes in my crocheting. I don't want to see any stuffing sticking out. I want everything to be really tight. So that would differ depending on what I'm using. This one was made out of Bernat Blanket Speckle, and for a thicker yarn like that, I usually go up to a 6.5. These are some other Bernat blankets, like tie-dye-ish, and for those I would use a 6. And this one I used a 6, and it was Bernat Blanket tie-dye-ish. So let's get started. For this particular pattern, I am just going to leave my yarn on the floor and let the ball unravel because we're using such a small scrap. Sometimes I also use a special yarn bowl. This pattern is going to start with the magic ring, and to make a magic ring, I lay the yarn across my hand like this, grabbing it with my thumb. I go around the back of 3 fingers and I pinch on the X, and then I go around the back of my hand again, grabbing it with my pinky. I take my hook and go under the first loop and grab the second loop, and I give that a turn and slide it up my hook. And then I'm grabbing the yarn over here that I'm holding down with my pinky, and I'm pulling it through the loop on the hook. There we go. Then I untangle that tail and we're ready to get started. For round 1, we're going to single crochet 7 into this magic ring for a total of 7 stitches. So you're going to insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through 2. And that's a single crochet. So insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. So we've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now you want to hold on tightly to what you just crocheted and grab that tail and tighten up that magic ring. Don't pull too tightly, you can snap your yarn, and we're just looking to close up that hole so that we can't see through it. Everything is nice and tight. And then I'm going to put my stitch marker in the last stitch because that helps me to know when I'm going back around where I should stop. For round 2, we're going to increase in every stitch for a total of 14 stitches. And an increase just means that we're going to do 2 single crochets in the same space. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I always take that stitch marker out and don't crochet around it because it leaves just a little bit of a bump as you're working around that thing. 13 and 14. For round 3, we're going to increase 1 time and then single crochet 14 for a total of 15 stitches. So just in that first space, we're going to put 2 single crochets. So we've got 1, 2, and then all the rest we're only going to do 1 single crochet. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. As you can see, it's starting to do this like cup thing, and you want to push that direction. The tail is always on the inside, and you're always crocheting along the outside of the pattern. For round 4, we're just going to single crochet 15 for a total of 15 stitches. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15 here. Coming up in the next round, we're going to be using our yellow for the beak, so we want to get that ready to go. For round 5, we're going to start by doing 7 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now on that 7th single crochet, you're going to insert your hook, yarn over, and pull up a loop, And then you're going to yarn over with the yellow that you're using for the beak and pull that through. And that's how we're going to do a color change. Now I'm going to put the tail of the yellow down. I'm going to hold that out of the way. I'm going to crochet over the main body color, and I'm going to use the working yellow yarn. And I'm doing that all on purpose so that we can tie a knot in it later and not have to weave in any ends. Now to make the beak, all in the next stitch and all in the front loops only of the next stitch, we're going to do a single crochet, a half double crochet, and a single crochet again. So we're going to start with a regular single crochet, making sure to go in the front loops only. Now for a half double, you're going to yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3. Now going into that same space, we're going to start with a single crochet, but instead of finishing it, we're going to change back to our main body color. And then to finish out the round, we're going to do 7 more single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. For round 6, we're going to start with 7 single crochets again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And make sure you're always holding those yellow tails down and going over them so they're inside the project and not sticking outside. And after your 7 single crochets, you're going to go in that back loop only behind the beak, and we're going to do 1 single crochet there. Got my tail hooked around my yarn there, so I gotta watch out for that. And then completely skip over the stitches of the beak and go back to your next single crochet in your main body color and do 7 single crochets to finish the round. You're gonna have a total of 15 stitches again. And I'm getting all tangled up here. Oh, I guess it was just a little problem. Sometimes you're going to get tangled up and you're going to need to untwist everything. So it's okay if you need to stop, flip your project over, and make it easier to work with, because we're trying to have fun here. We're not trying to deal with too many yarn tangles if we don't have to. Okay. So we're going to stop here for a minute and pull out that working yarn, take care of these tails, and do some other things. So first I'm going to cut a long tail on the yellow and tie these 2 together. And if you saw how much I unwound from the yarn here, I think it wrapped around this little ball like twice. So that is how much yellow you need. You really can save your very small yellow scraps and use them up doing little chicken beaks. And that's really how the beaks work on all of my chicken patterns. You can use small yellow scraps for all of them. For the tiny chicken, that one has feet, so you would need a little bit more, but they're still not very big. Next, I'm going to be adding the safety eyes. And I'm adding these eyes between rounds 4 and 5. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and put that eye in there. And what I'm looking for is for it to be centered around the beak. So if I stuck it in like that, my beak is not in the center anymore. And then it's up to you if you would like it a little more cartoony. You can stick your eyes real close to the beak and only have 2 stitches in between. Or you can move them out and have 4 stitches in between. And honestly, you just get like a slightly different cartoon look, like you do with all plushies. So I'm going to use my thumb, push on the front of the eye. I'm not trying to push it through anything, I'm just holding it in place. And then I'm going to put this little washer thing on the back here and push that until it snaps. And you can't usually hear it on screen, but it's you can feel it snap down over those little ridges. So we'll get that second one. There you go. You might have been able to hear that one. And then we're going to add the comb next. We need our red yarn. Now to make the comb, we're going to be surface crocheting it on, and so I'm going to start by doing a slip stitch, and I just wrap the yarn around 2 fingers and push it through the center, tighten that down, and stick that on my hook, and that's all I do for a slip stitch. Now we're going to be surface crocheting this, and so to do that, we're going to fold this in half best we can because we got our eyes in there, and I know they're going to hit each other on the inside, but we really want those eyes to be there so we can make sure we're getting our comb in the center. You've also got your beak here with that one half double that kind of points out at the end. So that's all helping you figure out where the center is. You're going to start, you've got round 1 here, you have your magic circle, and then you've got round 2 around that. And we're going to be going inside the project over round 2, just like that, and then making a single crochet. Now your yarn is going to have a tendency to get stuck out here like this, and your single crochet will still work, but you'll have these big gaps that show with the main body color. So you really want to skirt it right next to your hook as close as you possibly can, and then pull that through. And then finish out your single crochet. Now you want to go back in the exact same space that you just came out of and go into the magic ring. And that's going to be your second stitch. And at any point in this process, I would keep checking, is that tail hanging down in the center? Are we in line there? I don't think we're going to get any better than this, so I think we're gonna stay there. That's going to look pretty straight, I think. I think we're doing good. Okay, so those two are looking good. Let's figure out this third one. Whenever I'm surface crocheting, I'm checking every single stitch. Is that going in the right direction? Because we're really just freehanding over the top of it. So I want to make sure that everybody's lining up the way I want them to. Okay, let's take a look at that. Kind of round out the project here, and I think that's looking pretty good pointing at the beak there. I'm happy with that. So now that I have my 4 single crochets, I'm going to yarn over and just pull through, and that's just chaining 1. Now in that first space of the surface crocheting, I'm going to single crochet 4 times. 1, 2, 3. These are all going into the exact same space. 4. And then in the next one, I'm going to slip stitch. And to make a slip stitch, you're just going to insert your hook, yarn over, and pull it through the loop on your hook. And now we're going to do 3 double crochets in the next space. So to do a double crochet, you're going to yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So we're going to do that 2 more times. Yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and that's a double. So I've got 1 more of those. And then in that last surface crochet in the front, you're just going to slip stitch 1 more time. That's going to pull that comb down in the front. And then you're going to yarn over and chain 1 just to finish off, and cut a similar sized tail, and then pull that through. Tighten those down. Now we're going to pull all of our tails down and out of our way here. And these 2 tails on the comb, I like to insert my hook next to the comb, very near the front, and pull those down. And I make sure I'm not pulling them through the exact same space because I want to be able to tie them in a knot on the inside. So we're moving everything out of our way. Double check that there's actually something in between the 2 yarn tails because we don't want to make a knot that ends up just popping right back out. If you need to, you can sort of flip this inside out. It's a little bit difficult because of how like skinny it is, but it is possible. And I'm just going to tie these in 2, 3 really tight knots to keep everything inside of there. And that's going to keep them from popping back out the top. And then get back to your working yarn. For round 7, you're going to single crochet 15 for a total of 15 stitches. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have yarn tails all over the place, so let's take a little break and stuff them up there. If that's also bothering you, stick them in there where they're just not going to be in the way anymore. We have 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. For round 8, we're going to start out with 1 single crochet, and then we're going to chain 2. So just yarn over and pull through. That's 1, 2. Now starting in the second chain from the hook, we're going to single crochet 1, and then we're going to single crochet 1 in that same space where we started. This is going to start making our little tail feather sticking out the back. And then we're going to single crochet 3 more. 1, 2, 3. Now in the next stitch, we're going to do 5 half double crochets, all in the same space, all in the front loop only. So to do a half double, you're going to yarn over, grab the front loop only, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3, just like in the beak, and we want 5 of those in the same space. 3, 4, and 5. There we go. Now, sometimes the wings can kind of lay down like this. You want to make sure you're picking it up and finding the next stitch that we actually need to go into. And you're going to single crochet 6 across the front. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now we're going to do the exact same thing for a wing on this side. 5 half double crochets, all in the same stitch. Make sure they are all going into the front loop only, just like with the beak. So I have 3, 4, and 5. Now you can take out your stitch marker because we're going to be moving where it stops, so it's in the wrong place anyways. And we're going to single crochet 6. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are all normal. Now 5 is going over here into this gap to fill that in. And the 6th one is going in the back of the chain that we made at the very beginning of the round. And your stitch marker gets moved here now. For round 9, we're going to start out by single crocheting 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we're going to completely skip the wing. For the 6th single crochet, we're going into that back loop only from the previous round that we left under the wing. We're going to do 1 single crochet in that. Then we're going to completely skip the wing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 double crochets. Make sure you're going into the next single crochet and single crochet 6 across the front. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we're going to do the same thing under the wing. Put 1 single crochet under the wing in the back loop only that we left from the last round. And then count those doubles again, half doubles again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and make sure you're going into the correct stitch after that. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 to finish out the round. And that's a total of 19 stitches. For round 10, you're just going to single crochet 19 all the way around for a total of 19 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. For round 11, we're going to invisible decrease 9 times and then single crochet 1. To do an invisible decrease, you're going to go in the front loops only of the next 2 stitches, yarn over and pull through 2, and then yarn over and pull through 2. And what you did was take 2 single crochets and turn them into 1 single crochet. So we're going to do that 9 times and then do 1 regular single crochet. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, and here is the yarn scrap that I'm still working with. Almost finished there. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then our 1 single crochet at the end for a total of 10 stitches. And then we're going to pull out our working yarn and we're going to add our stuffing. For round 12, we're going to invisible decrease slip stitch 5 times for a total of 5 stitches. And an invisible decrease slip stitch is just like a regular invisible decrease, except we're going to pull through all of the loops on the hook, just like a slip stitch. And I'm doing that because I want the bottom of this to sit nice and flat. I'm also going to take out my stitch marker before I'm done counting, just because it gets in the way at the end of these rounds. And you're really creating more of a chicken here at the bottom that is going to hold in more stuffing, especially in those little tail feathers. So if you couldn't quite get the stuffing to stay in there before, you have a spot for it now. So stuff this as needed, but if you wait until the end of the round, there won't be any room. Like there won't be any space to get the stuffing inside of there. So I've got 4 and 5. And I'm going to chain 1 to finish off. And I am just going to pull my yarn through. That is my entire little yarn ball that I started with at the beginning. That is all that's left. So you really can make one of these with this much. Now I don't want to pull that much through as I'm weaving in my end, so I am going to cut this and thread my yarn onto my tapestry needle here. And I'm going to go through the front loops only of the stitches of the last round. And I'm going to pull just a little bit, cinching that down as I go around, just to close up any hole that is still left there. And then I'm going to go inside of here, trying to skirt along the edge and not catch any stuffing. come out on the other side here. Pull that nice and tight so it sits down in there. And then I'm just going to weave my ends in through some of the front loops. Well, not really front loops, but like the 2 loops of the single crochet that are going up and down. And I feel like that just locks my tail in there, and I don't have to worry as much about it coming out if these have to go through the wash. So it just makes them a little more durable for practical, not really practical use, but practical kids use. Then I'm going to cut that tail. And that's it, guys. That's all you need to do to make your own keychain chicken. And then I'm just going to have my daughter add the keychain. She helps me out in this business, so that's her job to add those later on. But they turn out to be this super cute keychain size that I think is going to sell really well at markets this summer. So leave a comment down below. Let me know what color you ended up making yours in, and if you would like to see more keychain tutorials like this. And don't forget to check out my channel for a ton of other chicken tutorials, but also a bunch of other patterns, and I will see you guys in the next tutorial. Bye!